In this video, I explore the 7 core features of the doing and the being mind. This is from the MBCT handbook, Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy, and this is using mindfulness for the treatment of depression, especially recurrent depression. If you haven't already watched the previous video, I would recommend you go back one video and watch the recording I made on comparing and contrasting this archetypal figure of the Buddha in relation to the archetypal figure of Rodin's The Thinker. And this will start to build up this picture of these qualitative differences between the state, the cognitive processing, the emotional processing, the quality of embodiment that is exhibited in the image of the Buddha, in contrast, and also that would be reflecting these 7 features of the being mind, and in contrast to the image of the thinker, which would be representing these 7 core features of the doing mind. So when we think of someone who is worried about something, is ruminating, maybe suffering from depression, and what we see is that their thoughts, they seem to come on automatically. It's almost running all the time. The moment they sit down, the moment they take a break from being engaged in activities, they start to worry about stuff. They start to ruminate on old problems, a bit like a record that is going round and round. This feature of the doing mind is it uses thought, so it's not sensory based, it's not embodied, it's up here, it's very cognitive, it's very mind processing. Okay, so the person is always thinking about something. This is a feature of depression, very reactive mind, always worried about something, regurgitating, recycling old stuff through their mind, and there's a disconnection from the body. There's past and future. Okay, so the mind is always shifting to the past. In the past, it was like this. Future, in the future, it will be like this. And there's a real avoidance, or almost like skipping over, of the present moment. Okay, and the way we would antidote that is really by coming to a sensory awareness. But we can see this sort of quality present in someone suffering from depression or mood disorders such as anxiety. There's an avoidance of unpleasant experience. So instead of really going deeper into the unpleasant stuff, whether that would be through therapy or meditation or just reflecting on what is difficult, there are avoidance strategies. Could be eating, social media, just being busy all the time. We have a myriad of avoidance strategies, and I think most of us can relate to that we have our particular strategies to avoid dealing with the problem at hand. We need things to be different, so there's a real sense in this doing mode of mind that things are not okay as they are, that we have to change how things are. And in contrast with the being mode, there's more of an acceptance of how things are. There's an allowing of how things are, even if things are not easy. Taking thoughts as real. I think this is a really important one, and it's one that people don't often pay attention to. Do I believe my thoughts simply because I think them? And when we start to notice and look at the mind, we start to see that there's not just one coherent thought process in there. There are many thought processes, and often these voices inside us are in opposition. But when we're in a low mood, we're very likely to identify with the difficult thoughts, with the negative thoughts. Sometimes people say the mind is like Teflon to the good stuff, and it is like Velcro to the bad stuff. Like we really get sucked into those difficult thought processes. So I think it's really important to question our thoughts, and sometimes just recognizing and saying, that is just a thought. This is something I do all the time with my therapy clients. I say to them, just notice that it's only a thought. It's not necessarily true. It's just something that you're thinking. And number 7, the feature of the doing mode of mind, there is a focus on, there's trying to complete something until we end up in exhaustion, burnt out, and we don't necessarily succeed. So it's like that ruminative thought process. You just keep turning it over and over and over in your mind, thinking that someday you will solve it. You never get the solution, and instead you end up burnt out, you end up exhausted, you end up, we know that even having those difficult thought processes in the mind creates stress responses in the body. When you're continually caught in that loop, it's no surprise that you end up burnt out. So those are the 7 core features of this doing mode of mind that's very much associated with the sort of thinking processes of people who suffer from mood disorders such as depression. And in a way that meditation is the perfect antidote